Alright, so as we know, AWTD just dropped their anniversary update after like 3 months of waiting. It was kind of a while. And with that, they brought a hell of a lot of balance changes. We got all these units being reworked and buffed. So now what we're going to do, me and two of my friends are going to be trying to showcase every single one of them in this one video. It's a lot of units. We have some teams set up and we're going to be just showing off all of them. Certain units like Frieza will be left out because their change is so minimal. Because Frieza, like for example, Frieza, all that was changed about him and is the ability that you get, or the amount of damage you get from his abilities increased. But it's just, that's kind of it. It's not really anything too insane. What we're primarily going to be testing out is any stat changes or passive changes. But yeah, that's just pretty much it. And without further ado, let's just get started on showcasing all of these new units and all of their buffs. Alright guys, we need to head into the training real quick. Head in here. Yeah, Hemo. Nah, so I need to let you guys know what to place and stuff. Alright, so we're in the training range now. Let me just get Amu down so we get started. Can I? Okay. Stop. Amulet Heart. Do all that. So we're going to start off with the units that I have. And then we'll probably just go to whatever these guys have after. So to start off, we have Genos. So we'll just put him down. So the buff that Genos received, I should find him real quick. Where is he? Genos. He's somewhere. I can't find him. Oh yeah, Hemo place leader. Yo. I actually can't find it. Where is it? No, I don't play Urahara. Oh. The buff that Genos received was a 600% damage boost. So he's doing 6 times the damage. No, yeah. Increase by 600%, so it's 700. 7 times damage. So we'll just go through his upgrades. Line AoE, that damage is looking pretty nice. And now we got him full AoE and he's max. 9.9 million. So just call it 10 million. That's with leader. Category boosting him. Oh no, he's not being category boosted. Yeah, interesting. But now we'll start Amu's boost. And now we're looking at 23 million damage full AoE with flame. And with the following, that would be pretty good. If I remember correctly, Genos' damage used to be a lot lower. This is a massive improvement. And all of these units, all of these new buff units that I'm going to be showing are just... Wait, why did I bring Shinji? But whatever. All these new buffed units are going to be obviously a lot better than they were. Like Genos used to probably hit maybe like 4 million. Now he's up to 23 million with flame, which is really, really nice. But enough talking about him. We're going to be pretty brief since there's so much that we have to showcase. Now we got Kurumi. Now off rip already, she has horror instead of despair, which is incredible, which kind of, if you think about it, makes Asnot not meta anymore. Because now we get all these abilities with Kurumi. So it's just the same, like Aleph, Bet, I don't know if they actually changed any of her abilities, to be completely honest. Let me take a look. Passive change the horror SPA increase to match horror's uptime. Oh, so Aleph was buffed. Aleph is now 0.1 instead of 0.3 SPA. Bet the base protect has been increased to 60 instead of 30. Dalit's healing is a lot higher. It's up to 200 times attack instead of 25 times, although the cooldown was increased to 1,000 seconds instead of 200. Hey, hi, I don't know. Shoot all units, making them stun and super boss immune to stun and super boss effects for 100 seconds. Let's see. Tet summon damage increased by 300%. So this is the one that summoned 6 summons. And then we have Yude, which gives her a 500% damage boost now when giving her karma. Yuda Lev, the cooldown has been reduced to 300 seconds. And Yude Bet has a cooldown of 2,000 seconds instead of infinite, instead of one-time use. So Kurumi got, like, really, really fixed. Like, she got buffed really good. Kurumi is absolutely probably back in the meta. I didn't check her max damage. Hold on. Maxer. Oh, wait. No. This has been running. Okay. 6 million. It's alright. Her damage is pretty low, but her support's insane. Now we have Eren. Eren's stats were not changed. However, Eren has gotten one of the craziest buffs. So, his passive is now Destroyer instead of Unbreakable. Which basically means he is always doing 5 times damage with the ability to do superpower, which is absolutely insane. And on top of that, the Rumbling will now summon 200 Colossal Titans, doubling the old 100, which is insane. His nuke is absolutely really good now, since you can also climb his damage so much faster. But that was pretty much it for him. Moving on, we have Hero of Hell Denji. Or no, Pochita. Not Denji. Let's see. So, we'll go through his upgrades. He's max. His SPA on his final move used to be 8 seconds. Has now been decreased to 5 seconds. His damage actually wasn't buffed, but his damage was already really good. So his SPA was lowered, increasing his overall DPS by a pretty good amount, almost 50%. And now they boosted the erased effect. They buffed it. The secondary passive now applies a permanent 30% slow instead of 10% and decreases enemy HP by 25% instead of 10%, which is kind of crazy. Like, we kill one enemy, every other enemy on the map immediately loses 25% of their max HP and is 30% slowed. That is really good. Like, that is a really, really, really good buff. It's so much better than it was. This guy is definitely viable again. I mean, his damage was already pretty good for progressive, and now that we're adding that extra support on top of it, it makes it so much better. But now we're going to move on to the units that these guys brought. Hemo, just place whatever you brought first in your first slot. So now we're starting with Komura, who now has Unstoppable. But let me pull up exactly what was buffed about him on the log. So his passive was changed to Unstoppable instead of Raise Attack and Painful. That is his only change. Although he now has Raise Attack, Superpower, and Resist. He no longer has that Painful aspect. So other than that, he's about the same. Teleport to base, sacrifice the unit, and then his summon. I think this thing attacks. I don't remember. But his damage is, it's still alright. It's still alright. This thing does attack whenever. I'm like pretty sure this thing attacks. It's part of the VFX, needs to raise attack. Oh yeah, okay. So does this thing have stats of its own? I don't remember. I haven't used Komura in a while. Or is it just his effect? Hold on, let me just turn the speed up and... Oh. So what we're going to do is summon a bunch of enemies. Guys, raise attack up to like 6 million. Okay. 6 million with superpower. I mean, this is with no trait. So we can't really judge too hard. With Honored One, his damage would be a bit higher. And let's just use Doge Protection. I swear I used to do something extra. Yeah, here. So here he is all the way back here. Yeah, and now his damage jumps up to 123 million with 5.4 SPA. For 45 seconds, which honestly isn't that bad. It's alright. It's definitely good for early game prog, because I don't believe he's very hard to get. So he's honestly low-key not that bad. Alright. Is he gone? Okay, next unit is Ichigo Mad. So this is without a trait. So I'll have to do a little bit of math to see what his stats would be with Honored One. So he's a 3 placement at max 600. Oh, he's Bloodthirsty. Oh, wait, Bloodthirsty 2 doesn't exist anymore. It's just Bloodthirsty now? Alright, but he does have his passive. This unit deals 3 times damage to enemies afflicted with madness. So he's a very good combo with Maka. Alright, so we have Amu running. Amu has buffed Ichigo. Ichigo is level 100. Alright. So I need to pull up a calculator real quick so we can figure out... Did you let him raise attack? He has raise attack? Wait, Hemo, does he have raise attack? Alright, I'll just cut that part out. Alright, so now we have Ichigo Mad. When does he lose raise attack? Okay, right before the full AoE. So I did max one of them if you can just sell this first one. But Crimson Sarah we can get all the way up to there. I maxed out the other one. I didn't realize you upgraded them. That is my bad. I maxed out the last one. You just upgrade them. Alright. Oh, that's bright. Hold on, let's go over here. So that should do the trick and... Okay, that's just there now. But his damage is looking at 3 million. Now we have Bloodthirsty on him. So with the Honored One, it would be like 3.64 million. 364 million times times the 2 lost placements plus 100%. So that'd be times plus 300%, which would be that damage times 4. So we'd be doing 14 million damage with Bloodthirsty. So with the anemia plus Bloodthirsty, that would be times 3 to that, which would be 43 million. And then times 3 because of his secondary passive. Oh no, it would be times 4 actually. Hold on. Times 4 again, 232 million a hit. So considering I did that about right, with Honored One, he'll be doing about 250 million a hit around with just Amu and Leader. He is also being leader buffed. Every single unit we are showcasing is being buffed by the leader slot. So the stats may vary a little bit. Alright, could we get the next unit real quick, Hemo? Alright, next up we have Blood Queen, who unfortunately doesn't have a good trade on. There's no good trade on Blood Queen right now, but that's fine. Oh, it's level 70. It's not max level. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. With level 100, it'd probably be about 2 million-ish damage, because now we got to estimate a little bit, unfortunately. So it's probably going to be around 250 to well, obviously, yeah, 250 to 300k damage on the clones at level 100. Well, no, the clones are the same always. So about 250k on the clones. And then we have about, it's going to be about 7 to 8 million on Blood Queen herself. But now we also do have this new passive, which every second she'll deal 2 times damage to enemies in range affected by bleeding, which is really good. I'm pretty sure that might have been all they changed about her. I'm not sure if they boosted anything else. I will look very quickly. Oh yeah, and she also now has hemorrhage instead of bleeding. So her DPS is hitting a huge spike now because of the new passive. Every second dealing 2 times her damage, which is amazing. But yeah, and then we have hemorrhage, which is doing bleeding, and on top of that, an extra DOT effect. Just adding on to her damage with Bloodthirsty on the clones to deal even more damage. Making her really good. But whatever, next unit. That's just it for Blood Queen. Not much more, not much else to say. Next up, we have Hikari. Now this is with Giant Slayer. However, Hikari got a massive boost to his ability. So his base damage already was increased by about 90%. But now, the attack boost that he gains from failing the jackpot is 777%. And if you win the jackpot, you gain 7,777% instead of the old 2,777%. So we are getting about like 50 times more damage. But yeah, 5,000% more damage is about like 50 times, I think, if I'm mathing right. But that's really good. And now, but also on top of that, Hikari will become immortal after hitting the jackpot. And right here we have a jackpot of Hikari dealing 100 million damage. Without Honored One, with just Giant Slayer, dealing about 100 million damage with crit and a 77% crit rate, which is quite honestly pretty damn good. And if you don't hit the jackpot, then you're looking at about 10 million damage, which is like, that's still pretty decent. It's still pretty decent. Hikari's definitely a lot better now compared to his old damage. I don't remember what it was, but it definitely was a lot lower than 100 million. That is an incredible, like, they're kind of cooking. They're making all these old units really usable again. But that's it for Hikari. Are you out of units, Hemo? Or do you still have one more? Oh, Jouro. Is that your last one? That is your last unit for now. Okay. So now we're looking at Jouro, which he got a new passive with Cosmic and Raise Attack. And I believe he also got an overall damage buff. His buff was somewhere down here, I believe. Alright. His damage is increased by around 300% damage. So he has about 4 times damage now. His passive is now Rage Attack and Cosmic instead of Raise Attack getting Cosmic later, which kind of just makes it so you can max him and now just let everything happen. His manual also got a bit of a change. So, revert enemy movement in range for 15 seconds. If the enemy has less than 20% HP and has already been rewinded by this unit, the enemy will be time stopped for 15 seconds instead. So if they're low on HP, they will get time stopped instead of actually getting rewinded while they're high on HP. Now, I don't know why. Obviously, AWTD has no bugs, but he's supposed to have a secondary passive. And unfortunately, it's just not showing. But his secondary passive, every 10 attacks, Jouro will gain, will drain 5% of the enemy's max HP of every single enemy in his range. Although it only works once per enemy, it's still draining 5% of that max HP on top of his high DPS. Which, with Honor 1, you can see him doing upwards of like 200 million damage with Cosmic. But what we're going to do is we're just going to summon a couple... Oh god, that's really high speed, but whatever, it's fine. We're going to summon a bunch of enemies, let his Raise Attack go. Let that max up real quick. Alright, should be enough. 18 million. Let me change the speed back down. 18 million damage. Let me just summon one more enemy just to ensure that his raise attack is complete. Yes, it is. 18.41 million with no trait. No trait, level 100, I would assume. Yes, it is. All we're using is Amu and Leader, and he's doing 18 million damage with Cosmic, which honestly isn't that bad. There's 3 of him. Unfortunately, Cosmic can't stack, so ideally you want the Fallen one on. Yeah, the Fallen one. Yeah, you want the Fallen one on him, not the Honored one. Yeah, I think I might have the Honored one on him. I don't remember, but doesn't matter. The Fallen one is his best trait, and that would be making Cosmic kind of go burr. It will kind of make his damage go pretty high. And with Honor 1, I think you're getting closer to like 80 million damage, 100 million damage. Oh, the Honor 1 is better because of the placement. Oh, yeah, because the placement count on Jouro. The Honor 1 is actually his best trait with Cosmic, since it is based on his unit damage. And he will be gaining 300% unit damage rather than getting 250% DOT damage from the Fallen one. Apparently it's a 500% damage increase. So a lot. It's a lot. Alright, that's it for Jouro. He's definitely really good. I'm probably going to end up using him now. Okay, Iron Man. I need you to place your first unit. And that is going to be Snakeman Luffy. Now, a lot of people at this point have probably seen what he does, since he is very good. His damage is off the rails. But let's take a look at his unique ability. He buffs Treasure Hunter by max of 70%, and he gains 20% more unit damage every single Treasure Hunter on his team. So the more Treasure Hunters, the more damage Luffy does. So we're just going to upgrade him a bunch. We're going to max him up. Damn. So we're going to get his raise attack max. Holy lag. Okay, should be good. We'll summon one more enemy just to ensure. It is maxed. 233 million damage with crit. Now keep in mind, I believe this is with Luffy being the only treasure hunter unit on the team. There is no other treasure hunter on the team. So if you bring a full treasure hunter team, his damage would be so much higher. I believe you can get it to around 800 million damage with crit, which is absolutely insane. But all they did for Luffy was just change his passive, and I believe increase his damage by a lot. Damage increased by 1,000%, and he now has a category buff. So he kept raise attack and crit from previous updates. All right, next unit. All right, next up we have Yuji, who is also really overpowered. So we're just gonna go through. We're gonna max up Yuji. We're gonna take a look at his ability. Increase Black Flash chance by 30%, and this unit's damage by 50% if you are Besto friend that was in range. So Toto. Taking a look at the Black Flash passive, 10% chance to deal 5 times damage. On every hit will increase damage by 1%, max 300%, and increase Black Flash chance by 0.1. So looking at his stats without doing anything with Black Flash, we're looking at 41 million, almost 42, every 6 seconds with a decent circle AoE. But if you hit that 10% chance, then that's like 200 million damage. So if you could place Toto real quick just so we can get the buff, that'd be nice. Thank you. And now we're looking at 62 million just off rip. Like, that's really insane. So what we're going to do, yeah, Toto doesn't reach anything. So we're going to turn the speed back up. I'm going to turn the game audio off just to preserve people's ears. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go get that Black Flash passive up. Which I'm not really sure how long that's going to take. Oh, wow. That might actually be up already. But I'll let it run a little bit longer. Yeah. 250 million damage. And at this point, max plus 60%. So that'd be 70% plus 30% from Toto. So that's a 100% Black Flash chance. Already doing 250 million damage. which is crazy. That is what 1.25 billion damage every 6 seconds. And it needs 700 hits to actually max everything. To max like the Black Flash chance, but apparently his multi-hits should also count towards it, which will speed up the process, so it's not 700 attacks, it's 700 hits from his multi-hit. Which is nice, which is very nice, but that DPS is like incredible. 1.25 billion damage divided by 6, it's gonna be like closer to 200-ish million. So that's incredible. But now we'll just move on to Toto since he's already down. We can sell Yuji. And we'll get Toto up. He keeps superpower, and now he gets an ability. He gets the same ability, 120% power. Increased attack by 2 times and guaranteed a superpower effect. So it's kind of just the same, except it's a little bit better. Because it used to be increased by 20% damage. But if we go look at his exact buffs, his damage is increased by 300%. So his damage is now much higher. And his manual will now increase the unit's damage by twice instead of 40% like it used to be. So we're just going to summon a couple of enemies just to... I don't know. Let me just do that for a second. That should be enough. Where's Toto? 204. Okay, let me just increase enemy HP. That works. Alright. 25 billion. Hit the ability. I should turn the game speed down. 191 million damage with superpower. With guaranteed superpower, so it's 3 times damage. So, we're just going to round it here. We're looking at about 200 million damage every 6 seconds. With superpower being guaranteed, it's about 600 million damage a hit. Roughly 600 million damage a hit. Which is very good. Although does get like super outshined by Yuji. The setup is not nearly as much for Toto as it is for Yuji. I mean, if you run them in tandem, they're very strong. But overall, I would say that Toto is still a very, very strong green unit. And he's still 100% viable for blue stages now. Because that damage is quite good. Because if you're doing a blue stage, 600 million damage times the 2 times damage, 1.2 billion, crazy. But yeah, that's Toto, like incredible boost. He's so much better now. All right, next unit. Megumi. So Megumi got a little bit of a buff. Every single one of his summons got their damage increased, I believe. He is in this second. Damage of all summons is increased, but it's by different amounts per summon. So the frogs are still pretty low, although they're just stunned. Nue, 500k every 6 seconds, which low-key ain't that bad. So we have the second Nue. Now we have the big elephant, which... Where's the hitbox? Where's the thingy? Okay, whatever. But we'll summon Maharaga, because that's really all that matters. And Maharaga no longer has a cap for the adaptation passive. Oh, the max elephant was doing 1.6 million damage with drowning. Alright, Maharaga adapts enemies increasing attack power every wave. So there's no longer a limit to that. And his base damage is 40 million. But Maharaga's damage was increased. 40 million off rip, which is kind of pretty good. Although we start going through the waves, will his adaptation passive proc? Unfortunately not. That's pretty unfortunate. Yeah, but just keep in mind, this is no trait on Megumi. With DT, it'd be a lot higher. You'd be closer to 6. Oh no, you'd be right about at 60 million. But yeah, so that's 60 million at level 1. Which, that's insane. Like, if you go through the levels, the max level is still 100, but you could be reaching billions of damage. I'm not entirely sure how much his damage will go up per level. We don't really need to use his ability since it's kind of the same as it always was. Buff damage of summons by 30%. That should be it for Megumi. So I think, do you have 1 or 2 more units? Urahara, I don't know. Do you have 1 more unit after that, or is Urahara the last one? 1? Okay. Last one. Okay. So this is the last unit we got. Already off rip, before we even upgrade him, he now has blindness and bleeding. So he has bleeding like he used to, which is just the cancel healing, 50% unit damage 12 times over 18 seconds. So just like, you know, normal bleed. But now we have slow and vulnerable that we get from blindness, which makes him a lot better support-wise. We'll keep upgrading him, and now full AoE upgrades 9,000 instead of the old 50 or like 100k or however much it was. It used to be really expensive. Now Urahara is 30k to max for 5 million damage with just basic buffs, and now he has his base heal and his damage boost by 2.5 times, only on a 30-second cooldown. Now, this immediately, without thinking too much, will seem like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. What's the matter? Well, like, why does it matter? So, if he gets sold or deleted, since it is a global cooldown, 1, you don't have to wait as long, and 2, he now heals the base more often, giving you more base HP overall than he would have used to. That came out weird. But whatever. But yeah, Urahara is definitely a lot better for support now and a lot more viable in progressive stages. Like, if you don't have Amu, he's a fairly decent replacement. Since you are getting heal cancel, you're getting slow, you're getting vulnerable, and you're getting a pretty good damage buff. His healing is 2 times the attack stat, so if you have like the honor 1 on him, it'd be a little bit higher. But no, it's not 2 times the attack stat, 'cause that was 30 million. He has 5 million damage, so it's 6 times the attack stat. Or 5, it could be 5 times. Oh, it's pretty good. Regardless, it's still pretty good healing. But yeah, that's the last of the units that we currently have on our team. So we got to go switch teams real quick, get some new units, and then we will be right back. Alright, so we're back in the training range. We got different teams. Iron Man left because he didn't have a separate team. So we're going to quickly run through all these units, and then we have more. There's a lot that got buffed this update. But we're going to start off with Overhaul, who, to start off, he was changed to an LR. He is a 4 placement unit now. Wow. So he is a 4 placement. He is now changed to an LR to an LR plus. He doesn't have 2 Evos anymore, only 1. And he's an LR. They increase his damage by about double. But other than that, what makes him kind of crazy is now Overhaul has the deadly critical passive, which is the same thing that Mihawk has. But what makes deadly critical so good is it is bloodthirsty and crit. So we can get 2.5 times damage, and now that bloodthirsty 2 no longer exists and bloodthirsty has anemia, it's 2.5 times damage. And then you get the 300% damage on top of it if that unit that you're attacking is bleeding. Which is kind of crazy. Like, his DPS is going to be really high now, especially since there's 4 of him, all doing 5 million damage with deadly critical. That's some insane damage. Like, that times 2.5, so we have 5 million times, no, 5.4 million. We'll call it 5.5. 5.5 million times 2.5 damage times that number is doing like 55 million a hit if they're bleeding and they have anemia and this unit crits. 55 million times 4 units, over 200 million damage a hit if all of them hit the bloodthirsty and the crit, which is low-key pretty good, especially since he's full AoE. Like, that's a huge increase from just crit and just a lot lower damage. Like, he's so much better now. But on that note, we gotta go to the next unit, since there's not really much else to talk about with Overhaul. And that's gonna be Morgan now, Fairy Queen. They buffed her pretty well, if I'm gonna be honest. At least in my opinion. Her damage has been increased by roughly 50%. Her summon damage has been doubled. So we're looking at 400k, 1.85 million, 100k, and a million off just placement. Her buff has been increased to 2.5 instead of 2.35. And now her nuke, Roller's Camelot, is 5 times total damage with the bleeding, rising voltage, and void. So her nuke is not only OP as hell now, her damage is a lot better, 31 million with rising voltage, and her summons are also a lot better, making Morgan actually really, really good for progressive now. And since her nuke is actually usable in progressive, is absolutely bewildering, and it makes her really OP. But yeah, other than that, that's it. That's it for her. Now we're on to Shigaraki, who I unfortunately don't have a trade on, but he is 4 placement. And Shigaraki, if I'm not wrong, had his damage increased by 400%, and he now has Void instead of Decay. Wow, just level 100, doing 18 million damage with just Amu and Leader. And now his category buff was also increased to 6% per instead of 5%. And with Void, we have Superpower and Decay. So, yeah, 18 million times 5 from Superpower. Or not from Superpower, from Decay. 18 million times 5 from Decay times 3 from Superpower. 270 million damage per Tomura. Every single hit at max damage, which add that all together, about 1 billion between the 4 of them. So getting Ono on this guy will make his damage go absolutely insane. Like, it's actually low-key kind of crazy. Alright, let's get on to the next unit now. Like, that's all there is for him, just a bit of a damage increase. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to Pain now, who I believe his damage was slightly increased. I'm not sure, actually. I think his damage was slightly increased. No, just his summon damage. His summon damage has been doubled. So now all of them do about 7 million with Divine Treasure. Like, level 1. Which is insane. Like, Pain and his summons were already quite strong. And now they're even better. Like, that's crazy. That's just crazy to me. Now, last off for my team, we have Guts, who... Why is he naked? Okay. Not going to question it. So, I should just redo that real quick. Alright. Basically, whenever this unit gets stunned, remove stun and increase damage by double for 12 seconds instead of the old 50%. So they made that twice as good. And they lowered his price. So, you got 28, 30, 58, 78, 200,000 to max him instead of the old, I think it was 500, 400k. He's only 500k total-ish to max now, making him significantly cheaper than he used to be. His damage still being pretty good. Like, his damage ain't bad. His damage is still pretty good. My dog is barking. Yeah, it just overall increases his usability and progressive, and now his damage with his new ability, which is really great, to be honest. But let's just quickly, let's try and move a bit quickly here. And Hemo, place on your first unit. Alright, so now we have Vegito. He got buffed. His damage was increased, and he has a new passive and a new secondary ability now, which is actually making him, like, a lot better. His damage was no, that's the wrong guy. Vegito, where are you on the list? His damage was increased by about 250%, which is really good. And now he has crit and raise attack instead of critical counter. And the counter attack comes in with his ability, with his secondary passive. And now we have a new ability, Vegito Taunting. enemies and super boss always target this unit for 100 seconds. Which, what is the cooldown? 200 seconds. So, it might seem a little bit insignificant, but it's actually really, really OP. Because now every single time he's attacked, he will be targeted. And every time he's attacked, it will counterattack, dealing his damage, which is broken as shit. So, yeah, his damage, he's just going to be absolutely shredding enemies for a pretty decent period of time. So, we do got to get his raise attack up. I think that's about right. Yeah, 280 million with crit. So we're dealing about 600 million damage per hit with the counterattack. That's really OP. All right, so let's move on to the next unit real quick. All right, next up we have Kirito, which Kirito just received a damage increase. Nothing else that crazy. Just a 50% damage increase, which actually is looking pretty good. 30 million damage now. But he's kind of really easily outshined by Vegito. He's kind of mid, to be honest. Oh no, but he does have that passive that makes him pretty good. But like, I don't know if he outdoes Vegito. He might. But yeah, that's really it for Kirito. Just a slight damage increase. His stats are definitely higher than I remember them being, which is nice. So we're gonna move on to the next unit now. All right, next we have Dark Flame Lover. This unit has always been mid even since release. And what we're looking at is about double damage, and the category buff is now 8% instead of 6% with a max of 72. And now any unit with the love passive in range will deal double damage when landing a crit. So that's really OP, especially now with Yuta, which I don't know if he was buffed. Although that still makes Yuta a bit more viable and other units with the love passive. Now we're looking at 38 million with Dark Charm, with Charm and Black Flame, which is actually pretty good for a Black Flame. Like 38 million with Black Flame. That's pretty damn good. But other than that, he's still the same. Not much else is different. So let's go on to the next unit, which I believe is Psyche K, who is now an LR to LR plus. His damage was significantly increased. I don't know, did he get... Is that passive? I think that passive is a new passive. So I'm gonna go take a look real quick. That passive is down here. Here. His damage is increased by about 550%, and yes, this is a new secondary passive where Psychic is now 100% to apply. So 150 million with just Amu and Leader with the Leader slot boost, dealing 150 million damage with Psychic, 100% hit damage times 3 over 3 seconds. So times like 4. So that 3 times. So 150, we'll say about 150 million. So it's about 600 million total, which is low-key kind of good. So that's actually pretty damn good. But now we're going to move on to the next unit, which is the last unit for now until we go get different teams. And that's going to be Maki Zenon, who she got an incredible buff. So she has Unbreakable, which I believe was normal. But I believe her damage got an increase. I need to pull up what they posted. I can't. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Damage increased by around 200%, and now we have a new secondary passive. For every 300 million damage is dealt, this unit's attack is buffed by 5 times, and superpower is guaranteed for 25 seconds, and will reset the cooldown after the ability is procced. So we'll let that just run. And now, boom, 5 times damage. 250 million every 4 seconds. And superpower is guaranteed, so 750 million every 4.5 seconds for the next 25 seconds. And odds are, by the time that ability ends, you will have enough damage to pop it again. Which makes her damage so much higher than it used to be, and she's so much better now and so much more useful. But yeah, that's it for Maki. So we're gonna go back to lobby now. We're gonna go get new teams, and we will be back then. All right, we are back. Unfortunately, Hemo, who was helping me, had to leave, so I'm just back here on my own. So now next we have Tanjiro's buff, which Tanjiro's buff was I believe just a damage increase. His damage was increased by around 200%, and he now will get hybrid after upgrade 4. So 1, 2, 3, and there's upgrade 4. So now it's hybrid, and his damage is also increased, so we'll just go through. Unfortunately, a lot of the units that I have on my team, I don't have traits on. So Tanjiro's a 3 placement with Scarlet Flame. Scarlet Flame is Flame and Demon Flame, which is actually really good. Okay. His damage is pretty decent. Nothing like to go crazy about. His damage is alright. He's pretty decent. I mean, full AoE. Low-key not that bad. If you get a good trade on him, you can go pretty hard. But next, we're on to Rengoku, who is a 4 placement unit. No, 5. Wow. So Arcanist is, in fact, probably his best trait. So we're going to go through. We're going to upgrade him. Yeah, 5 placement with 2 million damage. About 2.5 million damage on each with Flame. That could add up pretty quick. On top of that, we have 330 range. Only 4 SPA. And Flame, wow, only second after Flame will end. That's actually low-key kind of good. Because I have Arcanist on him. He's pretty cheap with Arcanist. Like, we're looking only about 16-ish K to max. And with that many of him, his damage will stack up quickly. His damage was his placements was increased to 5 instead of 2. That was his buff. And his cost was lower by about 60%. So now his DPS is far higher. It's more than doubled. And yeah, and now he has all those extra placements to do even more damage, and he's that much cheaper. That's really good. But now we're on to one of the biggest failures, if I were to say, in AWTD history. That being Saint Seiya. He is, in my opinion, one of AWTD's biggest failures in a unit. And I need to place him farther up. This unit, even off release, was trash. They buffed him, he was still pretty bad. They buffed him again, he was still pretty bad. And now we buffed him once more. So now we're going to have to go and test, let his raise attack build. And we're just going to hope that they did him justice and he's actually good now. So what the logs say is that he was buffed, just his damage being doubled. That was it, I'm pretty sure. Yep, damage increased by around double. 30 million with Cosmic. Oh my god. How many placements? Oh my god, he's ass. He's just... Oh wait, but he does have perfect cycle of Cosmic. So there is that, but he's not better than Jouro. I hate to say, but he is not better than Jouro. Well, he might be, because you do have the perfect cycle. I mean, he isn't that bad. 50%. He isn't that bad, but I don't know if I would use him over Jouro, because Jouro has all those extra things that make him better, in my opinion. He's still pretty good, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get him, to be completely honest. Which is kind of unfortunate. He still, in my opinion, isn't... Well, that damage is pretty good. Okay, I think he was actually pretty good. That buff definitely made him a decent chunk better. Okay, so we're looking at Deku now. With 10 million damage on placement. Deku's buff, I will check in a second what it was. I just want to get his raise attack up. So let me take a look. Is it max? Because strongest does have raise attack in it, right? It does. I just want to make sure. So summon a couple more enemies. All right, great. Set the speed back down to 1 times. Now we're looking at about 28 million. No, 27 million. And he has the superpower, which can do triple damage. So about 75-ish million, 80 million after his superpower hits. And he also has 100 million stamina now instead of the 100k, which or 10k, which, oh, call that overkill. That's kind of insane. If we're looking at what his buff actually did, it increases damage by about 500% of what it used to be, And now his stamina is buffed to 10 million instead of 10,000. Wait, 10 million? That's 100 million. Alright, the devs put misinformation in their patch notes, but whatever, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. It's still basically infinite. And that's it for Deku. I mean, he's just extra damage. So now I'm going to go try and compile some more teams, and we're going to try and showcase the rest of these units that I have yet to showcase. Alright, here we are with the next batch of units. So we have Ace, we have Todoroki, the Goats, we have Vegeta, and then we have GT Goku. So these are the next 4 units that we have to showcase. We're going to start off with Ace, who I have the fallen one on him, so his damage won't really be too affected. Well, actually, it won't be affected at all. It would just be his DOT. So let's be able to see his straight stats. So Ace's buff is, as we can see already, he has flame and counter. So he has basically a counter attack when he gets stunned, and he has a regular old flame. So we'll go through his upgrades, and here he is. His damage is also increased by about 300%, which means he was probably he was doing close to about 1 million damage before base. Now with the Amu buff, about roughly 9 million. With leader, it'll be about 9 million damage. Which, low-key, kind of good. That's actually really strong. With flame and counter. I mean, this is just for a single unit. He's kind of cheap. I mean, he's not... well... I wouldn't say you label him as like an incredible OP great unit. But he's not that bad. He's pretty decent. He's a pretty solid unit that you could get. A pretty solid fire unit if you don't have a lot. But it was kind of just a simple buff, just higher stats and a new passive. So we're just gonna move on to Todoroki, who got some love. He got some great buffs. So his damage was increased by about 400%. So we'll just go right here, and what we're gonna have to do now is we're gonna turn the speed up super high, and then we're gonna do this. Just to get his raise attack maxed. There we are. So 18 million damage with the Amu boost, with now 19 million damage, about 20 with flame passive. Oh, I fell through the map. Almost global range, at least for the training map. 250 range, which is really nice. So basically his damage is increased by a lot, and they also buffed the psychic carry ability, which now it deals 5 times damage with the sunburn passive, which is actually pretty good. The sunburn is like burn, I think, buff to burn, if I'm not wrong, which I think I am. But that's still just, so that's about 100 million damage when you send the enemies back with that sunburn passive, which is dealing even more. And on top of that, his DPS is actually pretty useful now. His DPS is pretty decent. If you get the fallen one on him, his DPS will be pretty good. He's already fairly cheap. He'd be knocked up to around maybe 150k to max with the fallen one. And with that psychic carry ability, that would make him pretty useful in Prog over Railgun, because you're getting viable DPS out of Todoroki, which is actually really, really nice. I might consider using him again for certain stages, because that's a pretty good buff. But now we're going to go on to Vegeta. Vegeta++, who really was just Goku fodder. His damage is increased by about triple. So about 80 million damage now with Honored One, with 100% chance to crit. His damage will get double with Goku, so I'm going to assume that's his base damage that's doubled. So it'd be about 160 million, I would have to say. And now we got his nuke, which is just still 25 times his damage. Really, the only buff that Vegeta got was his significant damage increase with a 300% increase. And his damage is actually pretty good. He's critical counter. So yeah, he's definitely good for metal stages, and that's pretty high damage for an alright price. Not really great comparing him to maybe others cost-wise. Although, he's honestly a lot better than he was. He is definitely usable now, unlike before where he was just kind of trash. He's definitely a lot more usable and progressive, and if you pair him up with Goku, his damage will be even better, which is really nice. Lastly, for just this team, we do have SSJ4 Goku, GT, which he is getting buffed. GT Goku, unfortunately, I do only have Giant Slayer on him, since I can't get traits on everyone unless I spend a lot of time in the AFK chamber, which I might have to end up doing, since I am out of rerolls from this update because bad luck. But they gave him a 1000% damage increase. So he has strongest, so we just have raise attack. So without even looking at his raise attack, he's doing almost 28 million damage with strongest, with just Amu basic damage buff. So, and with that superpower, it could be hitting closer to around 80-ish million. Yeah, about 80 million. And now if we let his raise attack build, his damage will be... why did I do that? That was the wrong thing. Okay, whatever. Summon a couple enemies. Wait, that was stupid. Oh, that was really stupid. Remove enemies. 70 million damage. He's hitting for 69.96, so about, we're just going to call it 70 million. 70 million times 3 with the superpower. Okay, I glitched for the map again. Is 210 million damage a hit with a 7-second SPA. Pretty damn good. He's pretty cheap, and if you get the honor one on him, his damage could actually hit around 200 million without even, like, getting raised. Well, no, with raise attack. Like, just his actual attack stat will be about 200 million-ish. 200 to 250 million with that superpower chance, actually making him really good and a fairly cheap unit, although he'd be really expensive with the honored one. But that's it for these units right now. I'm gonna go get some more units, go get some new ones, and I will be right back. All right, here we are with the next group of units, but I feel like there's a bug. Like, I could have sworn that I had the honor one on Rudius, unless it was on my alt account. But I could have sworn I had honor one on this account on Rudius. So I hope that there wasn't a bug that removed some of my traits on some of my units. If so, I'll be a little bit, actually no, a lot of bit pissed off, but I might be bugging. But regardless, let's just get into showcasing what Rudius can do. His damage was increased by around 300%. On top of that, his mech was also increased by 300% damage. So Rudius' base damage, we're looking at 30 million-ish. With an 84% crit chance, he just has crit. We'll upgrade his mech, and it's dealing 52 million every 6 seconds. Is this with Amu applied? This is with Amu applied. So you got, obviously got the controllable mech. You got some decent damage with explosion. And that's honestly not that bad. His damage is low-key kind of good now. Like, he's definitely a lot more usable and progressive than he was. Like, before, he was kind of dookie. But he's definitely a lot better now, a lot more usable. Because with Honor 1, we're getting about 60-ish million here and about 100 million here. Wait, it's actually really good. Okay. I see you, AWTD devs. That was actually a pretty good buff that they gave to Rudius there. And now we get Atarante with Honored 1. Which, I don't remember if that was her best trait or not. I don't think it was. But I guess this is what I kept due to my lack of rerolls. So, Atarante had a damage increase of about 800%. Which is honestly amazing. And then we have the Golden Apple, which buffs her attack by 4 times for 30 seconds and fully restores stamina. So wait for Amu to unapply, pop Golden Apple. And that's 40 million damage with poison for a short period of time. Unfortunately, it doesn't last throughout the entirety of the cooldown. But now we have poison on her, which is 300% unit damage every 5 seconds with an infinite duration. Which also it apparently goes through enemy shields. So if a super boss like Gojo has a shield, the poison goes through it. That I recently found out today while doing the anniversary stages. I found that out that it actually pierced through Pingy's shield. Which is really nice and good information to know. But, like, overall, Atarante's damage, that increase makes her a lot better and a lot more viable for stages now. Compared to before, where she was just kind of ass. Let's be honest. And now we have Maka. Which Maka received an insane buff. Like, Maka is pretty much meta now. With her damage being increased by 900%. And now she has Madness, and I do have the Fallen one on her. But looking at this, now she does, Flower of AWTD is 3 times buffed. So with Amu, 30 million damage with Madness, which is a resist superpower, and the Madness is its own DOT, 30% unit damage, 12 over 12, and buff bleeding by 30%. And it perfect cycles because 6 SPA. Or it might just be barely off. I think it might need to be actually like 12.01. Which actually is kind of unfortunate, but whatever. I don't actually know. But Maka is now meta and is a really, really good pair apparently with Dragoneye for Abyss. So that's like Maka's so strong now. Like holy God, she's so good now. They made her so much better. They didn't give her any extra passives or anything, just a plain damage increase, which I think the same can be said for the next unit, which is Uryu. Never mind. He got some more changes. His damage is increased by exactly 2 times. What? 10? Buff this unit's attack by 10% per unit in range. Oh, okay. So I will place some more stuff down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's unfortunate. So it's going to be like 10% off with his passive. That's fine. So he's decay and raise attack instead of raise attack going into decay. So you can just straight up max him. You don't have to worry about anything else. That he still has that fucking bad line AoE. But we're going to go get him his raise attack. So we're going to let this run for... Actually, this is probably more than enough time. But let's just take a look. Alright, that's really bright. But 32 million with decay. So at its max damage, it'll be 32 million times 5, which is just about 150-ish million. Now this is with no trait, by the way, at level hopefully 100. Yes, it is level 100. So 150 million every 6 seconds with just Amu boosting. You can have 3 of him, so adding up to about 450 million. Which actually isn't that bad. Like 450 million is max damage being dealt with decay. Which honestly isn't actually that bad. Uryu isn't too terrible anymore, especially with that new passive. But, I mean, the new passive's alright. I don't know about Uryu still, because this line AoE is really situational, and it's just not that great. Although his damage is kind of good. I have mixed opinions on him. You guys can tell me what you think about Uryu. I honestly don't really know. I don't think I'm going to be using him. But I think he still got, like, respected. So I'm just going to be right back with some more units real quick. Alright, here I am back in the range, and there is only 4 units left to showcase, 2 of them being in my party right now. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show off the buffs that were given to Shisui because I don't have him. But I can read off what they did to him. They increased his damage by about 200%. He has a new secondary passive that rewinds enemies in range by 10 seconds. And he has a new manual that will create 3 clones of himself. And the clones have Flame 2 passive and will last for 60 seconds. I'm not sure of the damage, but that's just what he does. I can't really say anything else because I don't have him, unfortunately. But now what we're looking at is we're looking at Gon, which they buffed by, I believe, 300% damage. I believe, let me look real quick, 300% damage just about. They increase his damage by. So we're looking at about 7.4-ish million. He is raging, so he increases his damage every wave. I'm not sure by how much. So we'll use Amu, and we're looking at 17.3 million damage every 9 seconds with raging. So in an infinite mode, his damage will be able to scale up pretty quickly. Hopefully. I mean, because rage units, ever since it got nerfed a while back, rage units have been pretty, like, bad. Like, they kind of gutted them by nerfing it. But honestly, I wouldn't recommend getting Gon at all, since raging units aren't that good. And they're really situational. Like, if you're doing infinite mode, yeah, they could be decent DPS, but they're really not that great. So yes, they buffed them, that's nice, but unfortunately raging units just aren't that good. Now we have this Denji with 319 range outplacement. Now this is Denji plus plus, which not many people are going to be using because they're probably going to be using him for money farming instead of actually using him to do DPS. But his DPS really isn't that bad. And the changes that were given to him was his damage was increased by about 250%. His passive was changed to bleeding and flame instead of going from bleeding to superpower to bleeding and flame. Which basically means he has all his passives in one move now. What? What are they saying in here? He is now hybrid on placement, which is nice. But now he has bleeding and flame, which kind of self-explanatory. And looking at his damage, 18 million. If you get the fallen one on him, his damage would be pretty good with those passives. Although I do have golden because I use him for his farm more than his damage. So he is a full AoE, not full AoE, map-wide chaser unit. 18 million damage is quite nice. Although, unfortunately, compared to some of these other buffed units, he's really not that good. And Denji, you really only want to evolve him once so you can just limit break and roll the stats and then go back to the farm unit. Unfortunately, Denji isn't entirely very useful, although this damage boost does open him up to being used in certain stages, possibly in the future, maybe some challenger stuff, but his damage will never entirely be like meta. So let me go and get the very last two units that were buffed in this update. The only ones that I really aren't going to show are Kaido and Frieza. Not Kaido and Frieza. Shisui and Frieza. I'm about to go grab Kaido and the dragon, Fairy Draconic. So I will be right back with them. All right, here we are with the final two units, Fairy Draconic and Kaido. So we're gonna start with Fairy Draconic, who for her she just I believe just got a damage boost, which I will look right now. Damage increased by about 50%, so it's nothing too crazy that we're looking at. What is this? 3 times damage for 45 seconds. Although it's kind of useless with Amu buffing. Although that stack, it does. Okay. So we're looking at about 18 million damage with Void. So that's about a 50% increase. We were looking at maybe like, we were looking at 12 million before. Now we're looking at 18 million. Which Fairy Draconic overall was actually a pretty good unit. It's just a unit that honestly kind of started falling out of meta though. Whenever she first released, she was pretty powerful. Now started slowly drifting, becoming worse and worse compared to these newer units. Now they gave her just a little bit of a boost just to make her a bit better, which she's still all right. Not too great. Probably kind of just fodder for Morgan or Fairy Queen. If you're trying to get a good, strong blue Void unit, I would honestly just get Gojo. Like, she's not that good. I mean, if you get honor on her, her damage would be a lot higher, but I don't think I would use her over someone like Gojo. Or just use her in general. Still a pretty good unit. Still not that bad. I'm still not going to call her terrible. But now the final unit is going to be Kaido. His damage was increased by about 300%. He is now hybrid on placement, has a new secondary passive called Draconic Heat, which that might be in the dragon form since it's not here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Draconic Awakening since I do have the 300 damage dealt statistic. So we're going to transform him. He is still one placement. Yup, here we are. So we're going to get his upgrades real quick. So here we are. There we go. 18 million damage with Explosion. What is his AoE? Circle AoE. Okay, he has a nice circle AoE with this new ability. Every 10 seconds, Dragon Emperor will deal 2 times damage with flame to all enemies in range. I mean, it's alright. I mean, Explosion's still pretty good. But, I don't... But with all the current dark units in the game, Kaido really wouldn't seem like an incredible option. Although with Fallen One, his damage would be pretty damn good. Now, passive will add to his DPS. Oh, wait a minute. Damage over time traits will increase the secondary passive's Flame 2 damage. So Fallen One will make his flame damage from... Ooh. Wait, Kaido's kind of good now. That's actually pretty good. I might end up getting a trade on Kaido and using him. But that really is it for Kaido. However, there is actually one more unit that I definitely almost didn't forget. And it is the best unit by far, 100%. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now we are back with the true final unit that was buffed in this update, except Shisui because I don't have him. And of course, by far the best, Peem. LR plus Peem. Because LR plus Peem is just so good. Alright, so for LR plus Peem, she was given a plus 50%. Oh no, damage decreased actually by 50%. However, superpower is now turned into superpower and black flash. So we can go through the upgrades. 1.72 million with Amu buff. We are level 100. Yes, we are. With Amu buff. Now we have obviously the old reverse curse, which is remove stun. Increase damage. Oh, that's right. Increase damage by 30% and guarantees superpower. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the speed up and let the black flash attacks actually go off. And let that max up. So we'll let this... Damn, I'm dying. We'll let this go for just a second. Let's see. Is that damage max? 6.89. So we'll summon a couple more enemies. Alright, cool. So now we're going to use Shoko power up. Let me fix this. What? Oh. Why can't I use this one? I think I bugged it. But a damage 8.96 million with the black flash. So that'll be, we'll call it 9 million. 9 times 3, 27 times 5. 125 million? 125-ish million? Hold on. Times 3, 27 times 5 from the black flash. 135 million times 3 Peems. 405 million damage across all 3 Peems. Considering superpower procs with the Shoko power up. So considering the superpower procs. Oh, this one didn't get enough damage. That's why. Okay. Although, yeah, 400-ish million damage across all 3 of them if both things proc. That being superpower and black flash. Which, that's kind of actually decent. Peem is still probably better for healing. But it's actually a viable unit to use now for the DPS. Which is pretty nice. But yeah, this has been a long recording. And we have showcased every single new unit except Shisui that was buffed this update. There may be more buffs to come. Or there may be some buffs that I might have missed. Or that were released and they didn't post it. Which, if that is the case, that will be quite unfortunate. However, that's just going to do it for now. And if any more buffs come out, then I will come and upload them. I will record and showcase it, and I will upload it, considering it's actually crazy. But that is going to do it for now. Oh my god, this took a while to do. But I will see you guys.